Cineboys to Cinemen, episode 98.
98.
2 away.
Nearly at 100.
Still haven't got the foggiest.
No, it's really hard to
celebrate our 100th episode. We talk about it a lot, and yet I have nothing.
We got to do something either really bombastic or really sort of whimpery.
The latter would be more in keeping.
Yeah.
with this, I think.
Just put a flag up or something. Yeah. 98, it's good. It feels good.
It is. Yeah, it's nice.
Oh.
Hope you're well wherever you are, whatever you're doing, by the way.
Oh, yes. Of course.
This week, Marty Supreme.
That's right, yeah.
Josh Safdie.
Yep, second Safdie-based podcast.
Yes.
First being the Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
I only just realised that. After their split, they kind of went on to do separate things, amicably, apparently. And, they both come up with very different sort of products, I suppose.
Yes, I think that's something to talk about, actually, because I think we were quite positive about Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
And how it's a sort of approach to the sort of, I guess, the narrative stylings of the sports film, and the way it kind of resisted those was quite subtle.
Yeah.
Whereas Josh is taking a very different and arguably much more familiar approach to genre. If you're familiar, of course, with Uncut Gems or Good Time. Yeah. I mean familiar in that sense, because he's the one that seems to have that style as a part of him as a filmmaker much more than Benny does.
Definitely.
Just going on the basis of the two films they made since they split up. But.
Yeah, no, but it's interesting how Benny sort of strayed away from that, the sort of stylistic approach. We'll talk about that style, the style in question, which basically, I think it hinges on stress, basically.
Yeah,
he kind of moved away from that and moved into a slightly more conventional area in terms of biopic and filmmaking, etc.
Absolutely.
Whereas it's become clear which Safdie was responsible for that kind of feeling.
That's the first thing I thought when I came out of Marty Supreme, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, chat about the films, Safdies. We'll also talk about morally complex or ambiguous characters, because I think that's something that the Safdies, both collectively and individually, have kind of pioneered to great success.
Okay.
A lot to look forward to.
Definitely.
Hopefully this time I'm not sort of 75% of my face is not going to be obscured by shadow. It's funny, actually, because in that Avatar episode, we reflect on our technological ineptitude.
Yeah.
And it's still here.
It's still ripe.
It's still there.
There's still plenty to...
part of the charm.
Plenty to iron out.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It's part of it. I'd like to think anyway. I mean, that's what I tell myself. I can't fix that. Shadows are, it's done.
Yeah.
Can't change it.
Of all the things to sort of have shadowed, it's not the worst, is it?
I don't know, maybe I'm in I can note, I might have to move the microphone in the interim, actually, because I've noticed I might be having that exact same problem right now. Maybe I'll leave it, actually. Well, yeah. It's part of it.
Run the gambit.
Yeah.
The gamut.
Yeah.
Is it gamut or gambit?
Gamut.
Gamut
is a lighting thing. Yeah.
There you go then. That makes more sense. Right, should we get on with it?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Questing the cinematic void.
So alongside the kind of kinetic delirium of the Safdie Brothers' cinematic stylings, the most notable thing about them, I think, is their approach to character, particularly their lead characters.
Yeah.
And one thing I thought was particularly interesting, obviously we spoke about the divide between, or the split, sorry, I should say, amicable split between Josh and Benny Safdie. One thing that was immediately apparent to me with Marty Supreme that wasn't so much apparent, even though there are definite sort of similarities between the Smashing Machine and Marty Supreme in terms of the kind of self-destructive nature of the characters. One thing that really struck me is that Marty was a more authentic, if you can say that, Safdie Brothers character.
Definitely, yeah. It's something to do with the way they treat very broken, very manipulative people. I think manipulation is the thread that runs through all three, and by all three I do mean Robert Pattinson in Good Time, Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems, and now obviously Timothée Chalamet's portrayal of Marty in this. Is they're all very manipulative and they're not very nice to other people, broadly speaking, and they are selfish and it's all about them and in their goals, and they're out for themselves. And Good Time is sort of pretty resolute in showing that kind of barefaced, I suppose. And at the end, he kind of gets his comeuppance, I suppose. And you're with this guy, and you're sort of in his slipstream, I suppose. Uncut Gems is more tragic, I think, because it explores addiction to gambling a little bit more. So there is a kind of moment where he breaks down and reveals a bit more humanity, I suppose. Then Marty Supreme takes it one step further with full-blown, very complex character who, in a conventional, at first glance, is a bit of a charisma machine, and that is how I think you attach yourself to him. But sorry, going back to your comparison with Mark Kerr or Dwayne Johnson's portrayal of him, yeah, what do you think is the sort of key difference there? Then, I mean, obviously, apart from the fact that it seems like it's less biopic-y, so less sort of overtly referencing an actual person. Although I know Marty Supreme is based on a real guy, and he's not called Marty Supreme either. He's called something else.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. He's called I can't remember his name. I should probably know.
Berto Warmcherry.
Yeah. I'll think about it. It'll come back to me at some point.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And I think because we did say about how, Smashing Machine, the way it sort of resisted the conventions of the sports biopic were a lot more subtle.
Yeah.
And some of the best work was done more by performance than it was necessarily from the writing or cinematic point of view.
Okay.
I think that's what I said. Yeah. But even if not, opinions can change. So my view very much of Smash Machine is that whilst I liked it a lot, I think a lot of what I liked about it most was the complexity was within the performances.
Yeah,
I think one of my biggest bugbears with a lot of biopics more broadly, and I know I'm thinking more about Oscar baity, wishy-washy bullshit like Theory of Everything, for example.
On Chesil Beach.
Yeah. The idea, they deprive characters of that complexity because it doesn't suit the Oscar baity bullshit nature of the narrative.
Yeah.
They want to tell a very favourable story about a human being. Now, I'm not saying Stephen Hawking's achievements aren't deserving of a favourable retelling of his life, but the reality is that to make I think a compelling story about someone, you have to take the bad with the good. You have to balance them.
Yeah.
And I think I feel like Mark Kerr is someone that I think he is treated. It's not all one-sided. You can see the kind of the nature of his addiction and how it's destroying him and his obsession with winning and fame. But I think it's comparatively far more subdued than Marty Supreme or any of the other Safdie brothers who work, in the sense that it is more reliant on character, and the redeeming qualities I think fit more snugly into the sort of more sedate approach that Benny uses.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I'm not, and again, like I like the film a lot. I just think that its biggest problem is that Marty Supreme in this comparison is better.
Oh, hugely. I think it's because
even though I still think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was superb,
Yeah, and it just takes a more traditional
different kind
route.
of superb, I think.
Yeah. It's less. I'm less inclined to watch it again. I think, like you say, Benny Safdie's approach to the character is more of a sort of sympathetic angle.
Definitely.
Whereas
Definitely.
Josh Safdie is not being sympathetic. He's sort of giving it to you at face value.
He's allowing it to play out, isn't he?
Yeah,
before you.
Completely, and he doesn't deprive the character of humanity though. Like he's still someone to kind of be on board with in some sense, because you're with him the whole film, and he's quite oppressive, and you're watching him being manipulative, and you're watching him strive for success, and it's just so damaging to everything around him. His sort of friendships, his relationship, his future, potential future, and even his career as a ping pong player. Like, it's damaging to all of those things, and yet somehow we're still rooting for him, and it's done in a much more devious way, I think, than the Mark Kerr story in The Smashing Machine, which is very kind of like, it's sort of like walk the line almost in that way.
There are moments of ugliness for sure.
But
they're not as pronounced, and I don't think they don't sort of grip the narrative for sustained enough periods to feel that you're getting this sort of 360 view. I think all of the good character stuff really just comes from The Rock, and I think it is different, obviously, in the sort of the way in which both of these separate performers are viewed. Obviously, Chalamet's, whatever you think about him as an individual, and I know the marketing campaign for this film has been very aggressive, and as you said to me earlier, as we were setting up, it's been done in the spirit of the character.
Yeah, that's what Timothy Chalamet said. Yeah, I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah, which aside from the weird sort of Susan Boyle crossover, I'm largely totally sort of allergic to it. Something weirdly quite sweet about it. I don't know.
Brought back a relic.
No, I kind of forgot she existed.
Yeah, he brought back that relic though. Clearly
like
it resonated with him.
English or British, I should say.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
Scottish, isn't she? But no, yeah, but I don't know. I think she is. I'm pretty sure she is.
We won't look
She
it
didn't
up.
work in car. No, that was Paul. I was going to say she didn't work in car phone
that
warehouse.
Paul
That was
Potts?
Paul Potts. Yeah, not to be confused, of course, with
the dictator. The despot, Cambodian. Yeah, not him. Remember James Corden was in a biopic about Paul Potts.
Was he?
Yeah. Anyway,
This makes sense.
episode 100.
Shit. Yeah, there we go. There it is. I didn't. Oh man, that's so perfect that he was the lead. Did he play Paul Potts?
I think he did. Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh god, that makes me feel so sick.
Imagine it if it had been directed by either of the Safdies. How
now I'm in.
I'm on board.
But no, do you know the trajectory of the characters is different in the sense that, or the actors, sorry, that Chalamet, love him or hate him, it's hard to argue with his chops. Like he's a very good actor. He's made a lot of smart decisions. He's been in some interesting films.
Yeah.
And obviously The Rock, as we discussed a lot in our episode with Lee, he's someone that I think part of the joy of watching the film is seeing him break away from the confines of like blockbuster mediocrity and actually own a role, inhabit a role, and make it his own. And that's what makes his performance special. Again, regardless of what you think of him and how his sort of persona is kind of somewhat degraded over time.
Yeah.
The reality is that his performance is, for the lack of a better term, against type, and therefore interesting. Now, there are plenty of examples where that doesn't work. So the fact that it does is testament to him. But I think it's worth noting the differing trajectory of the actors.
Definitely.
I think as well, like The Rock, I don't know, like maybe this is the kind of film that The Rock would do like 2 or 3 films later down the line when he's kind of settled more into this independent realm. Hopefully he stays in the lane because he doesn't need to do any more blockbusters, as we've already said in the past episode. But I don't know. I think that's worth sort of contextualizing it, sort of.
Completely.
But I think it's interesting, and I think it speaks to. I think it's interesting you point out the idea about charisma.
Yeah,
because charisma is something that is so easily weaponized by people in real daily life, right?
Yep.
You can be charismatic and awful, but if you're good enough, people will see through or see past imperfection and only see what they want, which is the kind of idealized view of the self that is presented for whatever benefit that person is using it for. Yeah. And I think that's something that's particularly interesting about the Safdie characters is that they have that in spades.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like, the sort of rays of sort of the flickers of sunshine that sort of shine through the dark cloud of ambition and cruelty and jealousy and all of the kind of negative emotions that these characters exhibit.
Yeah.
There's just snippets. And I'm not just saying it because of charisma, but moments of humanity and moments of like slight decency. Every one of his or their characters, despite their numerous foibles, shows them, flickers of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like Robert Pattinson's love for his brother. I mean, he's exploiting his brother in one way.
Yes, he is. But
he loves him, clearly.
Yeah,
there's a love there. And that sort of doesn't redeem him in any way, but it's a flicker. It's these little flickers, these little moments that are sprinkled so deftly by the Safdies. And I don't know, just the way in which they do it. I always think, I watched a few of their really early films, and I think, what's the film called?
Heaven Knows What?
No, is it Spider?
Oh, the one about home.
Oh, Daddy Longlegs.
That's right, yeah.
And that's about a dad, just a dad in New York. And it's kind of similar. I mean, he's nowhere near as toxic as the later Safdie Brothers characters, but in many ways, he's not a great parent.
Right, okay.
But he does some things that are really sweet, and he's funny and engaged, and you can see the sparkle in his kid's eye when he's with him. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, they've always had that throughout, the ability to kind of take this, take someone and deconstruct them, but never in a way that makes you totally convinced of anything about them necessarily.
No.
I mean, if you were to know them, you'd probably think they were a twat. But
really
that's
challenging to be around.
That's the power of cinema, right? And we were talking about this in terms of attaching it to a topic, which we often do. And it's about the idea of the kind of morally complex nature of some of, cinema's greatest characters, and what that says about us as viewers and what the appeal is. And, I don't know, what do you think it is? That's a pretty big question. Sorry.
That's all right. No, go on.
But, the idea of because obviously we have so many narratives are about heroes and villains, right?
Yep. Good versus evil.
And the idea of that, of course, is primarily for the sense of escapism.
Yeah.
But what is it that the kind of morally complex characters offer that is so compelling?
Oh, okay. Yeah. That is a really good question. I think first and foremost, it's.
I dived around a lot there. Sorry.
No, don't worry. No. It's all. I think it's slightly vindicating to watch them because obviously nobody's perfect in reality.
No.
We all kind of have moments of sort of intense stress where we're doing what any Safdie character does very well, which is problem solving for the immediate problem and not problem solving long term for the future. That is something that every human being at some point will experience, unless maybe you're sort of trillionaire's son or something. So I think it's slightly comforting to watch someone else, a character which ostensibly is the protagonist, to be going through those troubles as well. I think it's stressful to watch because you're watching them basically putting out fires. That's sort of the Safdie brothers and definitely Josh Safdie's. That's his watchword, I think, or phrase is like. It's just the immediacy of the problem. It's like you're solving that, then that, then that. Yeah.
There's a refusal to spend a period of sustained introspection.
Yeah.
It's all about the now. Solve this problem now. And as a result of that, I like that. I never thought of it in that sense that by doing that, it almost creates more problems because you're not just taking stock of yourself and reflecting properly.
Yeah, no,
instead, you're trying to wade your way through these numerous problems, most of which you've created for yourself, but you're not able to see it, and as a result, it never ends. It sort of perpetuates.
Yeah. It's really interesting how that is that kind of theme is the through line through arguably all of their films. Probably less so with The Smashing Machine because it takes place over a longer period of time and is more character focused. But certainly in the case of Good Time, Uncut Gems, and Marty Supreme, you're right. The only time when there's a moment of potential introspection is either right at the end, in the case of Marty Supreme, where finally, it's like a kind of sigh of relief. There's a moment of introspection, or Uncut Gems has a moment right before he decides to put that bet on, where he's just crying in his office, and he's sort of like, I'm a fuck up, and he's like. And he's on the precipice of being, of sort of lapsing back into the way that it should be, which is to take stock and to evaluate everything you've done, and then obviously it doesn't happen because he can't, he can't help himself to find a quick solution, which is putting this huge complicated bet on. So I think the flawed nature of the protagonist is a reason to watch them. I think it's slightly comforting. I think it's exciting. It's exciting in the moment to watch them. How are they going to get out of this? How are they going to get out of this? And also it's sort of comical in places. I'm thinking of certainly Adam Sandler's casting. There's no accident in that. There is there's a comical side of just how ridiculous difficult it is for them to just navigate normal life. It is quite funny if you take a step back, obviously, from the stressful nature of being in a cinema, watching these sort of Darius Conji extreme close-ups on the back of people's heads, swooping around. If you take a step back, it is quite funny. And especially in the case of Marty Supreme, I'm thinking the scene in Central Park where it's literally it's kind of a. I suppose it's like an almost the Deus Ex Machina is offered to him in the form of a necklace.
Right. Yeah.
And he
yeah.
fucks it up so badly. Like he's
yeah,
so close to getting exactly what he wants for nothing, because of the kindness of
Which in
someone
itself,
else.
yeah. It's kind of sad. I don't want to go too into it because I want to save this for the second.
Of course,
part,
yeah, because it's an interesting.
the casting
moment,
across the board in Marty Supreme is exceptional.
yeah, it's very
across
good.
the board. I think it's probably the best cast film of 2025. Just obviously Chalamet. We'll talk about him, I'm sure. But everyone in that film is inch perfect.
Definitely, yeah.
everyone.
Visually as well, in terms of the casting, the visual casting, which I think is often overlooked, in that they just fit the era so well.
Yeah,
but, yeah. So there's a comical that bit is just hilarious because you're just like, oh come on, you're right there.
How can it be?
It's at the 2-hour mark as well. Because so in theory it could have ended there, and you think, is this going to be his moment? No, you don't get it given to you, which is just quite funny. I think. So there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, what about you? What do you think? Is there anything there that
I think you're right. That obviously, there's people see more of themselves in those characters.
an extreme version of it?
Absolutely, of course, yeah. But I think also is that they, I think, are a more accurate representation of the sort of historical context that they're situated in.
Okay.
So I think from a sort of point of view of that, you can. I guess they're kind of humanized further because they're kind of embedded in a period and the sort of the complexities and problems of the time.
So they've been enabled by the era that
Sort
they're
of,
in.
yeah. There's obviously they're a byproduct of their environment and the sort of, the kind of, I guess their ground level behaviours and responses are perhaps a result of something far bigger. I'm thinking like Travis Bickle, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's not a well person. He's the brilliance of him is that as a morally complex character is that you kind of fall into feeling sorry for him because he's a product of sort of an imperialistic war machine. He's left. Because very much of the time, the kind of public consensus of Vietnam had shifted. It wasn't like flag wavy by any stretch of the imagination, and a lot of people were very anti-war. And I think that kind of not just the way in which governments handle veterans, but also the way that the atmosphere must have been. It's immediately isolating.
Yeah,
and
so is it pity then?
Sort of.
A way of watching.
You feel sorry for him because you know that he's totally alone. And the way that he sees the world, his extreme opinions are kind of almost being fed. It's almost like a sort of cycle, isn't it? Like the way he sees it, it's like self-feeding. Obviously there are a lot of people that at the time, I guess it creates an atmosphere that when you come back to it, you don't feel like you've been welcomed back. You've not been given a hero's welcome, which historically has happened to people that have served, particularly in the United States, And he never got that. He never got that sort of gratitude that he felt that he was owed. Yeah. And even then, he's psychologically damaged as a result of not being supported or helped or having no family or friends. And it's just, and because of that context, a lot of which is inferred by set design and camera movement and obviously his diary entries, etc., and also the fact he just cannot socialise with people.
I'm thinking of that date scene where
porn theatre.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's a hard watch.
Funny, it worked for me.
I don't know. This is totally normal.
Yeah, it was a double date, wasn't it? We both took our respective partners and...
Yeah. It ended up just being us two. They left.
I think it was just us two. They didn't even come. Actually, hadn't told them. You have to delete this bit.
Oh man!
But that's it. And because of that, empathy that we all have. Yeah. You can't help but feel sorry for him.
No. Yeah.
And then he goes and he pulls the rug from you and he betrays you and he does something reprehensible.
Yeah.
And when I think about something like that, obviously that's situated in a historical context, but I think it's also about what you're saying about, about
environmental.
Yeah, environmental or more, just something more to connect to on a basic human level.
Yeah.
Because heroic archetypes, they exist for the purpose of escapism. And obviously they can be deployed ideologically, often to benefit, a certain power structure or whatever. But the beauty of kind of morally complex characters is they can probe at broader questions about the nature of the world that we inhabit. So it's not just about situating in that context; it's about critiquing it or analysing it.
Yeah.
And I think that for me is obviously alongside the connectivity, which any great film, you're going to connect to the characters. And when it's done well, you connect to them, even if, they do things that are terrible. There are moments of humanity that you kind of almost, when you think back retrospectively on the character, when the credits roll, you can't believe that you've ever felt it.
No,
And
yeah,
that's
it's
the
weird,
power of a
isn't it?
great movie, right?
Totally, yeah, because that's interesting you say thinking back on that, because you tend to think back on the content. And the content in and of itself, it is showing someone being like horrendous, like manipulative and incredibly selfish, and so it does create a bit of a moral dilemma within yourself when you come out, especially Marty Supreme. In that you're kind of slightly shocked by how much you were following them as a protagonist, and also slightly sort of humbled and saddened by what happens at the end, which I found very impactful, actually. That last shot of him, which, for those who've seen it will know what I'm talking about. I don't know whether it's worth spoiling, maybe.
I mean, I think people know that our bread and butter is to spoil everything.
Spoilers ahead. It's just when he, after all that, he's become a father and he's watching.
There's almost a clarity.
Yeah, and he breaks down.
But it's not a given.
No.
You don't think, oh, he's got a kid now, it's all fine.
Yeah, no.
There's a moment of clarity.
Yes, exactly.
But
and that's where
like
you
you
leave
said
him.
about the moment of Adam Sandler's character in Uncut Gems, there's a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
But it won't take long just to sink back in. No. Is it going to inform a sustained period of reflection and changing one's outlook and behaviour? Or is it going to be a genuine moment that's going to really bowl him over? But when it becomes normal, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Is he going to be jetting off around the world, selfishly chasing his dream? Is that baby going to be another casualty of his his single-mindedness, which I think is a big theme that ties ideologically to a lot of what's happening in America at the time, and we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah,
I think the historical context is what gives, I think, Marty Supreme's sort of Marty himself, I should say,
Mauser,
that's it, Marty Mauser. I think it gives him a slight edge. As a Safdie character, I think.
Definitely, yeah.
Not necessarily. I still feel personally, and this is probably down to my bias and love for Adam Sandler, and my love of obviously Punch Drunk Love. I love Uncut Gems, and I think he's a sensation in that film. And it's not to sort of piss on Timothy, but I still think he's my favourite character. And even Patterson's, I don't know, they're so close. I'm not saying it like I'm not saying they're like this.
Yeah.
For the people listening on a jog or rubbing sensual bath oils into yourself, I'm doing. Not that you can't watch that whilst that's happening. You can do both. I couldn't, but I'm. This is on YouTube or Spotify. Actually, we know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I think so. Basically, I'm indicating that the margins between the characters, in terms of my preference and enjoyment, are minimal.
Okay.
But what makes Marty perhaps the most interesting in terms of his relationship to the film is that historical context. So basically, all of that was me saying, I'll talk about it later.
No. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's the almost betrayal of a narrative arc, which I find really interesting with regards to their characters. They don't have an arc. They start off bad and get worse, really, and they eventually their actions compound until either it reaches a breaking point or it reaches a moment of clarity, or both. But there's never an arc. There's never you don't ever really feel like they've learned anything.
No.
Which it goes completely against convention, like the hero's journey, picking yourself back up again and learning from your mistakes and ultimately triumphing over the thing that you set out to defeat in the first place. Like, there's none of that.
No.
So why is this film making $60+ million? Like, it's definitely down to Chalamet in some respects, I think, because by far, I say I'm talking about it as if they're still a collective. It's by far Safdie Brothers' most successful film, I think, and the buzz is extremely positive. And
I genuinely, and I think we've said this several times, both the trailers for both films were so poor and didn't give anything away. I remember saying that in the context of the Sinners trailer,
Yes.
which again gave nothing away. And Lee quite rightly said, or was it a good trailer? Because it made you assumed a formulaic. You assumed something formulaic and you got something totally different.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point in itself.
Is it a good trailer? Because I mean, my initial reaction to the Marty Supreme marketing was like, what? Like, this
It
is
seemed
gonna be the
really
worst.
kind of like a whimsical American dream kind of thing.
Totally, yeah.
In reality, it's the American nightmare.
I was not expecting it to be so Safdie-esque, like, really wasn't. I thought they'd both split off and they
Sold
left
out.
that behind, which is actually weirdly one of my criticisms of the film. It's a very, very minor criticism, and it does repeat itself based on Good Time and Uncut Gems. Like, I do think it is slightly repetitive in its sort of atmosphere.
Right.
But I do love that atmosphere. And
I love it too much to see it as a problem. I think if it's 15 films down the line,
maybe
then, I don't know. That's a good point. And we always talk about different filmmakers and the styles that kind of define them, and it's funny that, Wes Anderson comes up every single time. God, we never talk about anything else. But, he comes up every single time, and and it's the same with, I don't know, like Nolan's another, they've got, obviously
a house style, haven't
they've got a house style, they've got thematic visual motifs that follow their whole career. And I think really it's more on you. It's very rare to find like a filmmaker whose style is universally, everyone's like, right, we're bored now. Can you try something else?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, like John Carpenter is the same. He's got a house style.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's lovely and it's great.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe I'm being too harsh on it. Maybe I'm just nitpicking and thinking of something bad because just in the interest of fairness.
Stressful.
It is a stressful watch, but
yeah.
like it's the most accessible of the three if we're thinking of
Stress.
Good Time, Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen Daddy Longlegs. I have seen
Daddylonglegs Longlegs isn't particularly stressful in the same way these are. It's more domestically so.
Okay, yeah, and less like relentless energy. Josh Safdie is the one who can do the pacing. I think that's the key. One of the key differences. I remember there were moments in the Smashing Machine where I thought this is slightly dragging.
Yeah.
The
script let it down as well, I thought.
Yeah.
Whereas the script here doesn't miss a beat, I don't think.
No, and it has a pace and a relentless energy, partially down to the collaborators. I think Josh Safdie sort of grabbed all of the collaborators. So they've got Daniel Lopatin, the Onetrix Point and Lever.
Yeah.
Doing the music. They've got Darius Konji, as I previously mentioned, who's got a very
cinematography.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so it's, and the way that their films are shot are like very energetic, constantly moving, a lot of sort of whip pans to different characters, and a lot of kind of
really conveying the sort of. Sorry, I completely interrupted you.
No. You're right. Like just conveying that relentless
the
energy.
sense of feeling. Yeah, like it's such a difficult thing to pull off because when you look at film, you study them or you try and ape that. It always just seems so blatant and obvious, and yet it just shows the amount of craft that goes into those tried and tested things. And I think they commit to it on a whole new different level because the cinematic stylings of Good Time and Uncut Gems and Marty Supreme are, they're in for a penny, in for a pound. They aren't fucking around. And
no.
I don't know. Like I feel like that's part of the reason why they're so exhausting.
Definitely.
It's the perfect accompaniment to that kind of ferocious single-mindedness, this kind of kinetic camera work, the close-ups. Obviously, subliminally, the close-up is a sustained close-up is there. It's it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The same way if someone sat next to you on the bus you didn't know, and their face was here.
Yeah,
You know,
and they don't.
you wouldn't, but you know, it's horrible.
Yeah,
And obviously a lot of that's subliminal. But again, a lot of it's really common knowledge and very and used all the time. But the Safdies just take it up a notch.
they also the way their makeup is done is sort of very kind of realistic. All the pock marks on which was makeup apparently. It wasn't a lack of makeup. It's actually quite well engineered imperfection. But they don't. It's so great to see that in the age of sort of Netflixy sheen, kind of like Maybelline advert style filmmaking. Just to see this and it helps with that uncomfortable feeling as well. Extreme
Reality, I
close.
guess.
Yeah. Constructive reality, but like
artifice.
very, very like realistic and heart thumping, even in the quiet moments. Just the pace is just perfect in Marty Supreme. It's really, really like unique, and I think maybe Josh is the better. I'm not sure he edited it, but he's definitely like looking over the shoulder of a very talented editor as well, and kind of calling the shots in that regard. I just think that was the key. The key difference between Smashing Machine was the pace, which is low key one of the stars of the film, one of the stars of Uncut Gems and Good Time as well.
Yeah.
Use of music, a lot of music from the 1980s actually.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a bit at the beginning which is literally showing some sperm swimming towards an egg to be fertilized, and it has an instrumental version of Forever Young, which is such a strange moment in the cinema, because the last time I heard that was a piano cover for a documentary about Jay Slater, the Tenerife, and so I remember literally watching these like sperm in this sort of
seeing
CGI
it in a different
sperm.
context entirely.
Is that
was it CGI?
Yeah. I mean, amazing. The cameras into anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was just like, how's that from that Jay Slater documentary? That's such a
jarring,
strange moment. I was like, and there's that like it sort of goes ba 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 ba. That really like classic sort of 80s stuff.
It's kind of like Sean Baker-ish. That kind of like deployment of like kind of glitzy pop music.
Yeah, definitely.
In that kind of more earthier context.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Idealistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Representative of what's going on in his head. Very idealistic, especially at the beginning.
It's interesting as well because I was talking because Jan saw it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And we were talking a lot about it, and he noticed that it felt kind of 80s.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think that's a mistake in the sense that. Obviously, it's not a mistake; it's a choice. But no. I mean, not.
No. So it's anachronistic in the sense that the music doesn't belong to the time.
Yes,
yeah.
But the 80s and the 50s are two periods of kind of like economic boom for the United States.
Yeah.
But there's an undercurrent underneath that is
unsustainable.
Exactly, yeah. And that's something that the film, I think, reflects on really interestingly. Particularly, as you say, in terms of the context of the hero's journey and all that. But yeah.
I think if they had chosen music from the 50s, it would have been all like... the style of music changed so much. It would have been slightly jarring, I think, if they'd stuck to kind of period-appropriate music, whereas you get these sort of this synthy 80s music. It's much more interesting and it's better for the pace, better for the character as well. I think he's looking forward so much, and he's like, that's all he's looking to, and it's definitely something. There's a spark going on in his head, which is like, how do I improve, and how do I make me better? How do I make my life better? And it's that looking forward is reflected in the music as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's definitely worth pointing the music out. And not only the soundtrack, but the score as well is really good. You're in safe hands with Daniel Lopatin.
Yes.
It just contributes to the pace enormously well. So, I mean, what you've mentioned Travis Bickle, right?
Yeah.
I for some reason, when you mentioned the theme, the first person I thought of was Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network.
Right, okay.
Just in the
I'm
sense
interested
that
to hear this.
he's just a different version.
Nowadays,
Oh yeah, I mean he's just
fucking
an odd,
weird
oddball.
lizard man, isn't
Yeah, but in the context
then?
of 2010, he was a much more enigmatic figure, I think. And
he? Yeah, like Tom from MySpace. MySpace Tom.
Yeah. And the way he gets portrayed in The Social Network is really interesting because he's being quite selfish. He's not. He's just being really unfriendly, and so it's odd to me that you're with him on the journey to success. And it's odd to me that you can, that film did as well as it did, considering that the lead character is kind of the whole point of the film. The lead character is a bit of a dick, and then it ends with that resolution of him just being not a very nice person, and yet
So cutthroat nature of entrepreneurship.
yeah, and I mean it's just, I think largely
Self-aggrandizing and almost deifying yourself.
that's it.
Which in the context of the now, particularly with the kind of tech bro thing, is very apt.
I wish they'd take heed from the end of that film, because the end of The Social Network, he's just lonely.
Yeah.
I think that's the sort of, he's just an incredibly lonely man. And
He's
that's
laughing
where-
now.
Yeah.
Assuming you can laugh.
I don't know, I've never seen it.
No.
But yeah, I just thought, like, in the context of troubling, very, very morally reprehensible characters, like the other film I think of is The Social Network, and it's not the style of that film is a lot slower and a lot less.
Yeah, it's more clinical.
Focus.
Classic Fincher, right?
Yeah, classic Sorkin as well, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see a Sorkin script a mile off.
And I think like
And that's not
Andrew
always a
Garfield-
bad thing, by the way.
No, that's not. It's just it's the same as where the Wes Anderson thing is like it's very easy to identify.
Yeah.
That's symmetric. It's kind of like that's a Sorkin 100 miles an hour sort of screenplay thing. But yeah, I think like Andrew Garfield's performance in Social Network largely drives it forward and keeps you grounded, I suppose. But I don't know. Is there any other examples of those kind of characters?
I mean, there's loads, and that's the thing. I think I'm kind of interested in why you think he was successful, because the film doesn't portray him in a particularly good light.
Yeah,
And I think Zuckerberg himself was quite. Did he see the film? I'm sure he was.
he was a bit baffled by it.
Yeah,
I think.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
and I think he's got a team behind him, basically telling him how to react to this kind of stuff.
Right. Okay.
So
Must
I'm not
have
sure
been
we'll
more
ever get
human,
yeah. I think he said, "Oh, I saw a bit of it" or something like. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because it was obviously a hugely popular film.
Still is as well.
Yeah, like a big cultural moment.
Yeah. It gets.
What's the allure of that? Because there's quite a lot of films about these kind of entrepreneur types. Like, I know. Well, Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Again,
That's right. Another morally.
we speak about that a lot in terms of how. I think a lot of people from a certain ilk or a certain profession, I should say, idolize him, and that film is almost like a cornerstone for a kind of philosophy that is essential to success.
Yeah. Right.
Despite the kind of like, Scorsese's. I don't think it's his most kind of powerful denouncement of that kind of attitude. I think After Hours is far better at it. But
Oh yeah.
I just think it's interesting that we're kind of. What is it? Is it like disbelief? Is it that we want to kind of see the horror in it?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. I think.
mean, that's the kind of troubling position. Certainly, characters like him sit in. I think because. They're incredibly successful despite their foibles.
Yeah.
They're different in the context of like the Safdie Brothers characters because they're never really successes. Like Marty Mauser, sorry, I keep saying Supreme as if it's his surname. He you see him at the beginning of what seems like a really powerful moment in his life, but it's by no means the kind of success that we can attribute to people like Jordan Belfort's character.
Yeah.
Because even by the end of Wolf of Wall Street, he's back on his feet, despite everything that he's done.
Yeah, he's in a seminar, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's become...
and the film almost allowed him to kind of like sell the story, but focus on the kind of like the excess, the hedonism, the sort of complete disregard for rules and respecting your fellow human being. That's almost kind of why people are drawn to it.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting. And you'd say about Zuckerberg, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, what is it about it? Because it's not like those characters in the sense, because none of them, their successes comparatively, obviously, from an aspirant's point of view. And I don't think you'd necessarily go to these films with aspirational.
No, the Social Network doesn't invite you.
No, of course not. But
Wolf of Wall Street does, which is one of the problems.
Well,
obviously. Yeah, that is interesting. I don't know why. Is it Fincher's just assured direction? Does it get by on that alone? Because it's a very visually pleasing film. It's got a pace. It's got a really good pace. It's
good score.
Yeah, very good score. Yeah, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross. It's got some really powerful supporting performances, as I mentioned already. I think maybe the story is just interesting enough that
sort of the inner workings of a kind of major.
Cultural
change.
And where it all started.
Yeah,
sort of Harvard. It's a kind of peek into the American university experience as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I should say not a general American university experience, but a very
elite.
Prestigious one. Yeah. But again, it's not given to you as an aspirational thing. It's given to you as a kind of fly on the wall. This is what happens. And this is how these kind of people are bred, really. So I think that's why that film works, despite its lack of a appealing protagonist. And you could kind of say that like Taxi Driver does something similar, in that it's sort of just interesting enough to watch what happens next, even if it's a destructive path.
Yeah,
it's
as a character study, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. What's he going to do now? Like, how is it going to get worse? And if it does get worse, where is it going to go? Okay, it's going more to kind of political, and then it's back to, and there's Jodie Foster's character, and that kind of the ending there, and that sort of brief glimmer of redemption, and that kind of thing. And yeah, I just think
it's in that redemption, isn't it, where the true horror of Taxi Driver really lies.
Yeah.
Obviously, does he imagine it? Does he not?
Yeah.
But even the fact that he imagines that as a redemptive arc, is powerful enough.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. No, I mean
a damning indictment of perhaps what we can, what we as a society would consider redemptive.
I watched Double Indemnity recently, and I got to mention this briefly because that film hinges on a love affair initially, which is kind of the start of the allure of it. It's like it's kind of the forbidden loves angle, and then it becomes about gaining finance, I suppose, and gaining capital gains, I suppose, and how far would you go in order to get this sort of payout, and what they end up doing, and then how it goes wrong. And none of the characters in that film are particularly good either. Like
no.
The best one is his boss, really. Like I don't know if you remember that.
It's been a long time since I've seen Double Indemnity.
Oh, it's very good. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
The only reason I mention it is because I got it on Blu-ray recently, and it's just another example, really, of that. Of the propulsive nature of the narrative being the driving force behind why it's so appealing to watch, despite the fact that you're basically just watching two people try and fail to be wealthy by doing horrendous things. Yeah.
Well, noir is built on that, isn't it? It's the kind of It's cynical. It's a very cynical genre.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, given that a lot of these films were made during this kind of period of economic and sort of cultural prosperity that America was sort of marketing itself on, and yet so much of it is cynical.
Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting that disconnect often between cultural output and reality.
Yeah,
it's so fascinating to me.
Definitely.
And that might say something more about the kind of the allure of these kinds of characters.
Yeah.
As much as it might be that the relationship might be quite close, there is a sort of also a disconnect, which is perhaps part of that too, part of the equation.
Yeah. No, I think in the context of the 1950s then, and Marty Supreme, like, I know it's based on a real person, but like, what is the significance of the 50s to this story?
Well, like it's kind of the post-war boom, right?
Okay,
So you know, the kind of, you know, the fact that the United States was one of the few countries in the world post-war that's industrial base wasn't totally obliterated.
Okay, yeah.
So that, plus obviously, you know, the investment in infrastructure, Eisenhower's investment in like the roads and all that kind of stuff, and it created jobs and opportunities, a lot of kind of benefits for veterans.
Yeah.
War bonds that people could suddenly meant they had expendable income, which meant they could invest in cars and, you know, other things, you know, products, televisions.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
There's lots of reasons for why this boom happened. Obviously, the the American suburbia exploded in the 50s, the baby boomer generation, all that kind of stuff, economic prosperity. And I think what makes that particularly important to the narrative of Marty Supreme, not only obviously is the film set in that time, but it's the haves and have-nots.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
so there's all of this boom going on in the background, this kind of constant, you know, innovation and investment, and it's, you know, America is growing to become, well, it is at that point probably the dominant or preeminent world power, even at that early stage.
Yeah.
But underneath all that, there's the kind of, you know, there's the fallout of the kind of racial divides, and despite the fact that you know, this country mobilized against fascism, it's still dogged by a lot of domestic racist problems and political racism that is still happening, and it manifests on a daily reality for a lot of these people. So I think that's when we talk about what a Safdie Brothers character is, that period and that kind of disconnect again between the kind of image and the reality is essential to that kind of never say die attitude, and the fact that they're never going to achieve it because of those problems and because of that stark contrast between the ideal and the reality.
Yeah. So it's ideal. So I suppose the 50s may well have bred a lot of Marty Mousers, right? In the sense that their kind of economic situation is quite not looking fantastic, but there's an idealistic angle to the way they live and the way they start
the American
to act.
dream,
yeah,
right? You know, they become, and it, you know, it's. I guess that it might be a part of the reason that or part of the, I don't know, that fuels the ambition of so many of the people that try and fail. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and
no,
being
of course.
completely incapable to reconcile with that failure and refusing to accept it, to the point where you are dragging other people into this kind of whirlpool. And then they kind of get left as you keep going. You know, you're pushing on. And that's why I think the ending of the film is particularly potent, because it's the first time you see him properly considering another human being.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
because he does, and there are flickers of connection. And again, it goes back to what we're saying about the Safdie character's archetype. There are moments, whether if it's Robert Pattinson hugging Benny Safdie or you know, or whatever. You know, there are moments where you think, you know, there are flickers of a person in there.
When he lamps that guy with a statue.
Yeah.
Because he's protecting his love interest, right?
Yeah. But at the same time, he's also cheating on his love interest and treating her like absolute shit.
Yeah,
you know? So it's like, and the film doesn't offer any excuses for it.
No,
and it doesn't try and justify it. It doesn't sort of offset it. You know, I think a lot of the problems that people have with these kind of redemptive arcs with troubling characters is that it's almost like, here's the thing they do, and here's the redemption. You know?
Okay.
Thinking Three Billboards,
I
Sam
was
Rockwell's
literally just
character,
thinking Three
right?
Billboards.
Like, I know that character drew a lot of, debate, and I can see it. Even, I could totally see that because of the nature of the way the character is framed. Whereas here, I don't think it's never offered in that way. It's never offered that slickly. You know, you can see he's the sum of his failures. He's a product of an environment, a post-war environment where the reality is different from the dream.
Yeah.
It doesn't justify his behaviour.
No.
It doesn't seek to. And I think that's where the sort of the brilliance of the Safdie Brothers leading character is showcased.
Yeah.
It's that link to that. You know, like in Uncut Gems, who does he rub shoulders with? It's all these kind of basketball players, right? And all these really rich people. These are like people that, okay, insanely talented, but in the world that they live in, they're insanely rich, and there's just something glitzy to the point of sickening about the company that he keeps. You know?
Oh yeah, it's
and it's the same thing here. Like he's contextualizing them in an era. And I think it's just one of the better examples of that. Perhaps because the 50s is a bit more, you can zero in. There's a lot more sort of visual signifiers.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's a different time, like the cars, the architecture, the style, the music.
Yeah,
Although,
shop
a lot of
fronts
music
and stuff like
is
that.
80s,
Yeah.
but
No.
I know. I think that's why I think it's the most astute film of theirs or of his
Of Josh's, in
that sense, because it has its boots firmly planted in that era, and there's the relationship between that and the character is so potent and so apparent, but never is it used in any other way than to showcase the character and drive the character on. It's everything around them and the characters around them,
Yeah. Oh man, no, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's definitely a strong point of Marty Supreme, is its sort of visual representation of the setting as well, right down to like the color grade as well, and it's a delicious sort of looking 1950s New York, and then in brief moments going into like Tokyo as well, but mainly I think it's very kind of 50s America.
I mean, that's the interesting part of it as well, right? The fucking end of the Second World War. I mean, the nature of how that ended, and the American occupation of Japan, and the kind of the cultural hostilities from the kind of occupied, the occupier, a former colonial power in its own right, dethroned, and seeking something to kind of one up. It's the person, the nation that beat it, And table tennis, despite it being sort of seen as a relatively inconsequential, fairly lame sport, at least by the kind of way in which people view it in the film. I'm not aware of table tennis's appeal in the 1950s in the United States, but the film frames it as something that's fringe, right? Peripheral.
Yeah.
And that again adds to it, right? That, the idea of finding something niche and pushing it, that's another part of it, isn't it? Doing what someone else hasn't done and making a living out of it. Because even the businessman in it is like an ink salesman. I mean, it's so fucking boring. I mean, it's like...
Oh, yeah, the pens, isn't it?
The power that he controls. And it's interesting, actually. There's another thing about the casting. It's Kevin O'Leary. He's like a business mogul guy that's always going on like those sort of help podcasts, and he's on like that fucking show where people go in
the Shark Tank thing.
What's the fucking name of the program where people Dragon's Den, that kind of Dragon's Den adjacent style
the American
thing.
version is Shark Tank.
It's called Shark Tank, right? Okay.
I thought I recognised him.
Like he goes on and regularly defends like the economic state as it is and all that, and
oh wow, yeah.
So in a way, he's perfectly cast because he
represents that idea
in real life.
Yeah. Safdies do that quite a bit, don't they?
Even if it might be sort of slightly problematic, for some people, it does work because if you want a kind of bloodthirsty capitalist, then you've got someone who probably is that in real life as well.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I found it interesting how Marty behaved in the first time he was defeated by the Japanese table tennis player versus the second time. In that, at face value, you could see that as an arc. In that, he behaves horrendously the first time. He throws like a tantrum, doesn't he? And the second time, he hugs him and says, "You played really well." But in a sense, that's kind of representative of how America might treat their opponents. As long as they win, they'll be nice to them, kind of thing. I just thought that was an interesting way of doing it. And obviously, there's a lot more going on with that scene in the sense that he's rejecting the kind of financial gain that he might have by playing along. Because it's all about his singular solo ambition of beating this guy. He's
the loss of integrity.
Exactly, and that's another great thing about this film. In that the preceding two films, the kind of the ultimate goal of the protagonist, for lack of a better word, is financial in nature, which prevents you from wholly relating to them. I think the key difference here is his ambitions are not financial, really. I mean, it will lead to, if he's kind of a star table tennis, it'll probably lead to a lot of money, but he's not that interested in that. He's interested in the kind of glory of it all, I think.
But the fact he needs money,
yes,
the way he tries to get money,
and
that's what they're so good at. They're so good at the glitz,
yeah,
which you see through the business guy and obviously Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
That's his window into that world, right?
That's right.
And but then he's brought back down to earth in just such a shattering way with the way all the audience are and the way that he has to get that money by hustling, by wrongdoing, by doing people wrong. And that ends up backfiring with him because he messes with Abel Ferrara, which people should know by now that you don't mess with fucking Abel Ferrara. Best casting out of all the casting in the film.
Yes,
he was one of the best. Abel Ferrara, if you want a dirty New York film, look no further than that guy.
Oh yeah, you want to see him get squashed by a bath. That's the film for you. And the kind of, I love this. Another great thing about the screenplay, and another key difference between this and The Smashing Machine is this is sort of like this rolling, like kind of a snowballing of problems, and one of which involves a dog and a bath and Abel Ferrara, and like a car and the hustle and this kind of like sort of guy living in the sticks with a shotgun, and it's all just rolled into this like weirdly cohesive narrative
with everything else in Japan and all this sort of stuff. That's it. It's so busy, but it feels weirdly quite fixed.
It's coherent. It's
a
testament to their screenwriting.
Absolutely,
and to the pacing and the editing and the performances. Just like really makes a lot of sense when it really shouldn't.
I thought the Abel Ferrara thing was great. I love the way that at the start of his inclusion, you think he's just some sort of deadbeat weirdo, and then you find out he's like this obviously like hardcore, horrible gangster.
Yes, that's right.
And that reveal is brutal.
Oh yeah,
but so. Again, what you say, it's a slight deviation, but it all in keeping with the sort of broader ideas of the film, and brilliant. And Paltrow as well, I thought was fantastic.
Again, cast sort of perfectly, really.
Yeah, as a sort of aging film star from the 30s who, whose artistic ambitions have been reined in by this ink guy. So basically, assumingly as a sort of trophy wife. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of love in their relationship, really.
No. There's a thing about the necklace and how she's got 25 of them, which was
she's suffering, and that's part of the reason she kind of, has this kind of physical relationship with him, with Chalamet.
She sort of sees through his guise, doesn't he? But plays along with it anyway. Because ultimately, it doesn't really matter a great deal to her.
No,
like his sort of plight, and she gets interested in the ping pong thing for a bit, but like. Ultimately, I think her goal is just to stay relevant, and so she's quite happy to play along with Marty's various schemes, which I thought again,
and the
really
whole play thing that she wants to be in this play, and she wants to be like a serious actor again, and her husband's wealth is kind of what bought it, and then he gets all of his colleagues or his employees, to sit in, and then the review is terrible. It's kind of. That's kind of one of the things that's kind of interesting in kind of like, that wealth can't necessarily buy great art.
No.
Which is a kind of comment about the elite and rich people because, the way they view culture and treat it and as something to be attained and controlled and collected without necessarily understanding what it is actually, and how, its roots are in something far deeper than they can really understand.
That's right. They just see it as an asset, don't they? That will increase in value. That's one of the things people don't realise about great art is that it's actually quite a sensible. If you're looking to invest in something, it can be quite a sensible way to do it because its value. Sometimes it diminishes, but especially with things like paintings, and they do tend to hold their value like better than people expect. Sorry, I'm a strange little aside there.
Well, I didn't have you came here for film analysis, but you're also getting like art hustle tips.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the clip. That's the clip you put on.
I'm going to start doing that.
No, yeah, this film has those themes as well in droves, like just the idea of, I mean, Marty's, again, like I said it before, and a lot of the film is about him trying to get money, but it's just about him trying to get money to buy plane tickets to ultimately fulfill his goal.
And there's no guarantee that he will even achieve that.
Yeah.
So this, it's again, it goes against the kind of, Safdie is knowingly sidestepping every convention of the biopic. As you said, the redemptive arc, all of that. There's no guarantee of anything.
No, which
and
makes
that's so compelling.
it makes the film so stressful, but it's such a...
Oh, I was sweating.
Yeah.
I was a bit hungover.
Were you? Of course.
Because I watched it went to see it with Lee on New Year's Day.
Of course, yeah.
Obviously, New Year's Day, you're going to be a bit hungover.
Yeah. I saw it on my own, but it was a packed screening.
Good.
Really, really nice to see. However, someone was sitting in my seat, and I had to have that awkward exchange of. Initially, I sat next to them, and I thought, I sort of said, "Oh, sorry, I'm like B3. Don't worry, I'll sit next to you. It's fine. You stay where you are." And then obviously the cinema filled up, and some other bloke came up to me and was like, "Oh, you're okay." So, yeah, that
had a chain reaction. Of awkwardness.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to go about it, though. Like you waited to see.
Yeah.
What the situation would be like before you made your decision.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, because there's kids who are just turned up for the Timothy Chalamet movie, and they're like, oh, "Fuck it, we're sitting in the more expensive seats, whatever, that's fine."
Yeah, well, fuck it.
As long as they're there and they're not like bored on their phone, I'm like happy. So
yeah.
No, it was lovely to see a packed screening actually.
Yeah. We saw it in the Watershed, and it was packed. I've not been in a packed screening of the Watershed for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
The last time was probably Barbie, actually, and then before that, it would have been that Nick Cage film,
The Surfer.
No, the one directed by oh fuck, what was it called?
I don't know.
The one where Mandy.
Oh Jesus! Okay,
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
screening,
Yeah. Fair play.
Yeah, it might be more the times I choose to go, because I do find the Watershed's time choices slightly exasperating.
Yeah,
But that's not necessarily their fault. This isn't the place to air those concerns. But
they're
so
not
like 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's like a weeknight. Are you mental? The film's 2.5 hours long.
Come on, man. 6:30. Give me 6:30.
Yeah,
That's the perfect time to go
Fantastic,
watch a film. Yeah, on a weeknight.
I mean, it doesn't seem to be hurting them too much. So they're probably going to change it on our account.
Oh man, yeah, best film. Annoyingly, we did the list episode before.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
It would have made my list. No worries. It would have replaced Wake Up Dead Man, I think, for me. In fact, it probably would have been up there with Sinners for me.
Yeah, I think the Ice Tower for me would have been shifted
down. Yeah. Well, there we go.
Again, that's what I hate about ranking. It makes you brutal. You can't just remember. You can't just sort of isolate each moment you had with each film. I think that was good.
Especially ranking on record.
Yeah.
So you can't.
Yeah, I really don't have that much. I'm not really all that bothered, but it just seemed like a good thing to do at the end of the year because every other podcast does it.
It's nice to talk about.
We're desperate. Don't want to work anymore.
Oh, come on. We want a Ron Seal sponsorship.
We do. Please.
So badly. I'll start using it.
Yeah. I will literally paint myself in it. I'll eat it.
Episode
I'll spread it on my toast. I'll down it on episode 100.
Episode 100.
We're just both dead.
Yeah. Skegness, Village Hall.
Yeah.
Paul Pot biopic.
Yeah. Not even in there, like outside the Village Hall because they won't let us in.
Yeah.
We're just necking Ron Seal with like... Yeah.
Oh man.
But excellent.
Very good film. One of the best of 2025. Best film I've seen in a really long time.
Just a total thrill.
Completely.
Like I always kind of forget how stressful a Safdie brother or Safdie Brothers film is, and I forget because it's I don't know. Like
I wasn't expecting it.
No, I wasn't. Again, because of the trailer, the marketing, and the kind of different direction that Benny went with Smashing Machine. I was thinking, okay.
I also think like it's quite difficult for a lot of people to articulate why they like a Safdie Brothers film. So I wasn't. Nobody said, "Oh, this is like Good Time or Uncut Gems." Nobody said that to me. So I got sat down and I was like, "Oh fuck, this is like that. This is that again." And again, I said earlier that it's one of the only gripes I had with it. But I'm so glad that it is that way.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Outro.
Nice. Outro.
Questing the cinematic void.
There we have it then.
Yes. Also, we talk about great performances. Forgot to mention Tyler, the creator, was great, and Odessa Zion. Is that how you pronounce her name? Oh, sorry, everybody.
Oh dear.
Odessa Zion. Yeah, both superb.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, just thought I'd throw that in.
There's not a bad performance in this
No.
film, but,
No.
and we haven't mentioned nearly enough of the supporting cast, but they are all excellent, and they are all in the rhythm of the film as well. There's no outliers.
Yeah. Very good.
Very good.
Very, 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 very good. Next week,
Hamnet,
yeah.
a film which I've heard a lot about.
A fella called Shakespeare, I don't know.
Isn't he sort of like Chaucer, I suppose, in the sense that he's someone for some reason?
I don't really know.
Yeah, something about kings. Did a lot of kings.
Yeah.
The Tempest. Much Ado About a Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah.
Yes. Another Mescal film.
We love a mezcal here.
With Jessie Buckley, who's
Also
a favourite for the
fan.
Oscars.
Yeah. Is she the front runner?
I think she is at the moment, yeah. We're not, as we've already previously mentioned, we're not really that bothered about the Oscars. but at this time of the year, it's hard to ignore when, the prestigious pictures tend to be released around this time. So you get a lot of sort of Oscar-worthy performances.
Yeah, Chloe Zhao as well, the director, who's started out as these kind of portraits of American life on the fringes, was dragged into the Marvel machine, chewed up and spat out.
Yep.
One of the few directors I think to be given a bit more creative control on the back of her Oscar success with
Nomadland,
which I haven't seen. I've seen her films before, but I've not seen that. So
it's good. I don't think it has a great deal of staying power. I think it was popular at the time, and then I don't really hear anyone talking about it anymore, which is a shame because it is good and I did like it, but it's one of them. Maybe it'll come back in a few years, but it's like a kind of came and went sort of Oscar film, really.
Okay. I might even watch The Eternals. I think I have seen it or bits of it. I'm sure I have. I can't remember. I might rewatch
it. Doesn't bode well, does it? The fact that maybe I've watched The Eternals, I don't know.
No.
I haven't seen it.
I think it was the film that the kind of Marvel toyed with the idea of being like, maybe we can give directors a bit more creative freedom. Then audiences were like, this isn't what we want.
Yeah. This is a shame. It's their kind of Cars 3, sort of like when Pixar finally started to kind of go downhill. Same with Marvel. I think the Eternals were sort of cemented this downhill trajectory in the eyes of quite a lot of people. But then I haven't watched it. It might be amazing. It might have flourishes of things in there,
or it could be that there wasn't as much control as we were. That's kind of what the kind of insider thing wasn't it?
Yeah,
I was given a bit more free reign than a lot of other directors were, and it kind of didn't go that well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just passing the buck.
Yeah.
Probably something we should consider, given that it's them.
Yeah, maybe Zhao just needed a paycheck, basically, which I don't judge her for if that is the case at all. But
a lot of filmmakers do that one for me, one for them sort of thing. Don't
they?
Because
like
otherwise, I don't know. I think a lot of filmmakers would struggle to get more ambitious projects off the ground.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know, and that's sad that you have to fucking go through the meat grinder and make lunchbox adorning shit just to kind of get stuff made. But I guess it's the way it is.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking forward to Hamnet. Looks to be quite a powerful film by all accounts.
Love both. Jessie Buckley. Last thing I saw her in was Thinking of Ending Things, and she was fucking great in that.
Yeah, I like her.
Very excited.
The last thing I saw her in was Men, I think.
I've not seen that either.
Okay, give it a go if you fancy it. It's an odd little movie.
Go look at some men.
Yeah. There's a lot of men in it, and it's all the same man.
Oh yeah. I've heard the shtick. Yeah.
I think. Well, I went to Stratford-on-Avon quite recently and went to see like Shakespeare's house and stuff, and also Anne Hathaway's house. Not actress Anne Hathaway.
No, of course not.
I'm curious about the sort of production design as well. So,
yeah.
It should be quite good to watch in that respect. Nice, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I do like a Shakespeare play. So
yeah.
What's your favourite?
Someone asked me this really recently. I really like The Tempest. It's just quite funny.
Yeah,
and the
Tempest
humour
is good.
carries across to
Yeah,
present day, which is quite rare for historical things.
Yeah, that's true.
Because usually it's like, this donkey's drunk, and it's like the biggest laugh. In the play.
Yeah.
But no, I think, Tempest for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Not Hamlet. Hamlet's too long. Sorry. What about you?
Midsummer Night's Dream, I think.
Oh, okay. That's a good one as well.
Yeah, at the moment. Yeah. Anyway, this and more next week. In the meantime, thanks for getting to the end of the episode.
Thank you very much.
And take it easy. Look after yourselves.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next one.
See you then.
Cheers now.
Bye.